After the success of our Solomon spec ad last year, we wanted to take on the biggest project that Menace Media has ever undertaken. We decided that we wanted to kick off 2024 with a bunch of new spec ads. In typical fashion, we gathered in our meeting room. I set everybody a task to come up with 4 ideas, 4 concepts based on any products or causes that meant something to them. And then we pitched them all. No sound, no music, very soft lit but dark interview. So that's like 4 actors, 1 house. And it became very apparent very quickly that we all gravitated more towards the ones that had a cause. And that's when Ben came up with the idea of, it's always man up until there's a man down.
The main concept I had was based on the theme of men having to man up in society. Some men may feel as if they need to hide or suppress their feelings, when we're trying to shift that narrative and get people to truly listen.
Typically we shoot product-based spec ads, but this seemed like a really good change of pace as it was narrative-led and would hopefully make an impact on people.
The idea followed the protagonist with those thoughts and feelings that his problems everyone else had, it wasn't important, and he just needed to sort of shrug it off and get on with it and man up essentially.
Just need to man up, don't I?
How was your day at work?
Taking on the role of cinematographer on this ad was really exciting. Initially, it began with me figuring out my lighting setups. I'll draw a little bit of a floor plan. I'll basically plan out where I think my lights are going to go there and then. And then that way I can kind of have a bit of a pre-visualization within my own head as to what the scenes may or may not look like.
My immediate reaction was, I'd love to direct this. And then comes the nerves. You start to realize, wait a minute, this is quite a big project, and the way that I direct the talent, the way that I want this spec ad to play out is crucial.
Too low again. Give me a few beats out. I'll cue you when I want you to stay here. And action, Brian. I'm coming. Watch it.
I was happy to be picked as the editor for this, but I was also keen to get some experience on set, so I volunteered to be the sound op.
I'm quite interested in colour grading myself, and when I knew about the opportunity of joining in as a colourist, I got really excited to be able to be part of something quite impactful and powerful like this.
First task as camera operator was to build the storyboard and the shot list. And I used this cool website called ShotDeck. It really goes into detail on what camera was used, what lens, what lighting, and also the colour palette.
We knew we had to find professional actors to take on the main roles. This was so that the point that we were trying to put across for the film was really driven home.
While shooting the previs with Sam, we tried different variations of takes and noted that down, and then we took that into the final script.
We actually managed to film the whole previs in one day. We just done it here in the office. No lighting, it was just to see if the messaging worked.
Once the casting call was set up on Mandy, I then handed it over to James.
We had, I don't know how many we had, it was over 400 applications. We were really keen to have an audition here in the studio, and that's where we first met 2 of our final cast members.
Hi, how's it going?
Is it Brian? Yeah. Brian?
Yeah.
I saw the pre-production plan, and it was basically time to shoot our first scene, which was actually the pub scene. So today is our first shoot. Really excited. All the team are getting involved, so...
Max got to be our boom op. I've always said to him that he should do that. His background is in music.
I was a little bit anxious to get on set as a sound op, as I haven't done it before.
We arrived on set a few hours before talent arrived, built the set, experimented with lighting, haze, a lot of haze. We were a little bit nervous because it's a little bit small, a little bit quirky, but in the end it actually ended up working in our favour, considering we had a rather limited amount of extras, so it ended up making it look busier than it was.
The responsibility and the weight of being a director on my biggest project yet really sunk in when I had all of the cast at the pub, because it was the first time where we all met and they looked to me for guidance.
We actually had to use my dad in 2 consecutive shots, and we ended up just putting on a flat cap on him, and it seemed to work, I think. I think I was quite anxious about being on set as a producer for the first time. Obviously, people can get caught up in their own creativity on shots, and sometimes I sort of had to step in and say, right, we've only got a few minutes left on this one, you might want to try and wrap it up, which obviously I don't normally want to do and sort of hold people back from getting the right shot, but ultimately we've only got a day there.
Some of the challenges that I faced during the pub scene was that the pub just wasn't that big. So being able to get the dolly out and trying to put it in a position that would actually fit in the pub was quite challenging.
One thing I didn't realise as a producer was how quickly the budget could be spent. So we really had to utilise our resources. And James, luckily, with the flat scene approaching, offered up his place.
Hello. Hello.
Filming the flat scene was a really big learning curve as well, because it wasn't the biggest room in the world.
We had to play musical chairs with the furniture and, to try and fake multiple angles and make the room bigger than it was.
The initial plan was to shoot it on the tripod and the easy rig and then the last shot on the dolly. Well, I soon realised that cutting from the established wide shot on the tripod to an easy rig shot wasn't going to cut very well. So I made the decision of just shooting everything on the tripod, and I think the scene flows a lot more nicer now.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Cool, because I've been looking forward to this.
It was clear from the team that the football scene was the one we were most looking forward to, mostly because we can all play a bit of football and get involved. I found a great location, which was going to be perfect for the football scene and for the drone shot. It looked straight across the whole town, and it was going to look amazing at night time.
Excited?
Buzzing, mate. in my element.
This our guy Seb. He's a fly guy.
But these guys have to work hard and run around and get the cool shots. I just get the cool shots from the van.
So we had a couple of issues on the football scene night. The floodlights went out for a good sort of half an hour.
That's nice.
Nice one.
Oh, you kidding me?
Oddly, even though there was 0% chance of rain, mid-shoot, it did begin raining. So we had to quickly run, grab a tarp, cover Sam while he was wearing the easy rig, and the whole trolley full of kit.
Naturally bring the game closer to the camera, yeah?
Great colours. It's because it's so well lit from all sides.
We did struggle with one scene in particular, was where Leo actually goes to shoulder barge Brian, and it was struggling to get the whole scene together. It wasn't really flowing nicely. All we needed was the impact, so we kind of faked it a little bit.
Man, come in! Man on! Quick movement! Man on!
So the office scene was a little bit more simple. We were able to just use our own office.
From the very get-go, we had this idea that our protagonist worked in a very traditionally corporate job. And I was extremely skeptical at first because our office is quite creative. In the end, it looked exactly how we needed it to.
I played the boss in the previs.
So, you okay to work the weekend? I mean, the team are really going to appreciate it.
But we recognised that we needed a voice that was impactful. I had worked with a voiceover artist before that we thought about.
So, we are going to need you this weekend.
David, who was playing the boss in the office scene, was initially not meant to actually be in the film. He was meant to be cut off about shoulder height. We decided just to go a bit wider just to see what it would look like. And it's actually in the final film because his performance was just so strong and captivating.
Well, actually,
The team really would appreciate it.
So I managed to grab the second cameo of the ad in the office scene. You may recognise it from the pub scene. It's the back of my head. I'm pretty proud of that.
Bring it, lads.
I couldn't be happier with that final football shot. No one there is a professional actor. They were just a bunch of mates of ours. But I think because everybody understood the message and it resonated with them, they took on the task and understood it.
We had an initial idea of having our heads down and our hands in front of us, but we felt that it wasn't quite working, so we wanted to have everyone's hands wrapped around each other.
I actually got to operate the camera on that shoot. It was the first time I'd used the new dolly, which took a little bit of getting used to, but I'm really happy with the result. And I think that across the board, the performance from everybody, the camera movement, and our beautiful sunset was all I could ever ask for. That's a wrap, everyone.
It was interesting to see some of the takes that Max selected that he thought were the better performances. And I took some persuading sometimes, but once he showed me it in sequence, I started to change my mind and think, you know what, that makes a lot of sense.
After I finished the first rough cut, we all sat down and watched it and everyone gave their feedback. And we decided that there was a fine line between keeping the viewers' attention, but also giving them enough breathing room to let the emotion set in. The most difficult and time-consuming part was the sound design. A lot of the sounds that I recorded that I didn't think would be too bad actually did need a lot of work. There was a lot of noise reduction, a lot of work within the EQ that needed to be done.
Forward to this for ages. I mean, I even watched the first.
A big part of the sound design was recording Foley in the studio. Initially, the edit was feeling quite flat when it came to sound. Once we'd recorded those extra voice lines and background vocals, made it feel more atmospheric and real.
Big heads! Headers!
Once the team reviewed the final cut, we were all happy with how it was sounding and how it was looking, so it was time to pass it on to Marta to do the final color grade.
So I've actually joined quite late in the production process of this project. The guys already had a first draft of the video and it looked really cool.
We thought, why not? She's extremely talented, and we felt that this would be a good, not test, but a good opportunity for her to show us what she's got.
It was a great opportunity for me to get into DaVinci Resolve. It was probably a safer bet to just do it on Prem because that's what I'm used to. And it was definitely a little daunting at first when I got to the wheel panels and the colors and the nodes. Everything was a little bit more complicated, but I'm really glad that I pushed myself. There were definitely some setbacks and some challenges within this project. I think skin tones was something that I really had to make right and make it cohesive throughout the whole film.
8 PM next week.
Sound good?
Yeah. Sorry.
With the football scene in particular, we wanted to go for a more desaturated, moody scene and look, and that did affect the skin tones.
Unfortunately, flood lighting on a football pitch can be extremely weird on skin tones when you're filming it on camera, so we needed to figure out on site what white balance to pick.
I was really happy with how everything looked. I think the best looking scene is the pub scene. I just think it looks phenomenal. We used the mist filter on that, and with the lighting, everything just looks so amazing.
Sam absolutely loves cameras. I don't know anyone like him that loves cameras as much. A bit weird, actually. I can't say that, can I?
The lighting is just unbelievable. The effort gone into get the actors and to haze the room.
A lot of haze.
The performances from the extras, yeah, it's all come together really well.
After I corrected the footage, it was really cool to be able to create a feel and look for the overall film. It was a very collaborative process. For example, in the pub scene, I pulled back on the shadows quite a bit and it became a bit too contrasty. It was very important for us to try and find that balance between contrast and haze.
She's taken the raw files to a different level that we would have done in Premiere. We were lucky enough to stumble across an amazing charity called Man Up, who coincidentally had the same name as our campaign name. Reading through their website, their ethos and what they're about, it just aligns so perfectly to our concept and our story. It's going to make a difference, hopefully, on people's lives, and that's ultimately what we want to do.
My overall experience was brilliant, and to see my concept come to life in the end was just amazing.
I've learned a lot from this spec ad, from camera techniques to framing to lighting, but overall I've just learned a lot about myself. I've got a lot more confident in myself, in my abilities.
With the releasing day approaching so soon, I only had 2 days to color grade the whole project. I was really nervous about this, and it would have been great to have an extra week to perfect every single thing, but I'm really proud of what I was able to achieve in such a tight turnaround.
Overall, I was happy with how it turned out. We ended up with a very powerful and emotional video that seemed to resonate with a lot of people. Of course, I'd like to tweak more things here and there, but there's time constraints, and as it stands, I'm very happy with how it is.
I'm absolutely blown away with the result of this spec ad. I think that what we've created is comparable with videos that have been produced by massive crews with ginormous budgets. And on this, we've been extremely resourceful, pulled as many strings as possible. And in the end, the result, I mean, it speaks for itself. It's brilliant. I think we've truly raised the bar with this spec ad, but we've got so much more in store. 2024 is going to be a big year.